What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Champion Living podcast, the only podcast crossing the lines between the sport of rodeo and fitness. Today's episode, we're talking about if you were too old to lift weights. Is that even a thing? Hell no. We're getting into it right now.
So
how about that Morgan Wallen thing, dude? That had me fucking rolling this morning.
Oh, dude, that so funny.
What is the most important muscle for a country music singer? He goes, I guess your throat. And he was like, yes, you just teed this off for me. Let's go.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that? So why would you even say that? You know, you have to know. You have to know exactly where that's
face,
going.
And he knew it. Like once he started going, he's like,
oh, good. I couldn't stop laughing at the. I couldn't stop laughing at the bicycle one. Hey, ladies. He just chucks the bicycle at her. She's or chucks the basketball at her while she's going like freaking 30 miles an hour, wrecks her out.
It was funny because
that legit. Go ahead.
Doug's like, "Oh, that's a Logan thing," and when she said that, I was like, "That is absolutely a Logan thing."
Oh, for sure.
Somebody makes a minor offense against you, and then he just takes it to
no thought, zero thought, just
bodily
emotionally.
Injury.
Yep, fuck you, I'm going, and then just wrecks them.
I didn't throw a basketball, but I did stick a stick in a girl's tire. She was going pretty fast when I was like 9 or something, and I was like,
"That's just as bad."
I was like, "Hey, watch this!" And I threw the stick in there, and she went end over end. And
Logan was living Big Daddy before Big Daddy ever came around.
Oh, that's so funny, dude, funny. Anyway,
it reminded me of Superbad when he's like walking and he's like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And he's like, "Fuck off, loser."
Yeah. Oh, man.
He's like, "What do you want me to do? Jump in front of the spit or something?" Like, fuck, dude.
Oh, man. Good times.
Oh, good stuff.
Good times. Oh, hey, so I got my, I like used to kind of sort of try to play guitar back in the day. Anyway, well, I was cleaning out my garage and I opened up this guitar case. And in this guitar case is one of those little tiny notebooks. And I have a bunch of song hooks or whatever in there or whatever. And this is pretty prophetic. It's pretty awesome. There's a bunch of good ones in there, like Roses Are Red, Violets.
Did you say prophetic or prophetic?
Yeah, prophetic. No, prophetic.
Okay.
Prophetic, like prophecy.
I just want to make
there's a bunch of good one-liners in there. The one was whatever, Roses are red, violets are blue, Crown Royal is cheaper than dinner for two. I'm like, that's outstanding, But then the other one, there was one in there that I started writing about how bad country music is. And I wish that I could, I don't have it up in front of me, but it was about Taylor Swift and how she's, writing all these songs about, jaded love or whatever. Anyway, one of the lines was maybe I'm the Problem should be her next big hit or something like that. And I'm like, bro, that was 8 years ago. She totally came out with a song about being the problem. I'm like, man, here we are. And nobody knows it. I spoke that into existence, and nobody knows it. I'm a genius. There's some also really embarrassing stuff in there too, so that notebook will will never ever see the light of day. But
oh, we're getting it. I hope you know.
Yeah.
Now that we know it exists, I'll fucking national treasure this thing, and I'm getting that notebook.
Taking it straight to Nashville.
Straight to Nashville. Yeah, no, that's.
Well, T Swift listens to this, so she's probably like, man.
Oh yeah, she's
give Logan some royalties now.
Yeah, I definitely
or even
need
like
one.
a concert ticket. I hear those are expensive.
The other
Dude,
one was
we were just talking about Taylor Swift concerts yesterday, but my dad called her fame long time when she was first 16. I don't even know if she had a song on the radio yet, but she was opening for a Sugarland concert that my mom was going to, and he said,
"Oh, that's
get me a Taylor Swift t-shirt and get it autographed because she is going to be huge."
Yeah.
And the girl that my mom was with didn't want to stand in line for an autograph, and so she bought the t-shirt and then didn't get the autograph, and then next thing you know, the biggest artist in the world.
Yeah. I was told that her dad owns the Swift trucking company. The Swift trucks, the ones that always go 60 miles an hour and are always in the way. I don't know if you've seen them much, but they're all over the place over here. Swift.
I used to know
big semis, and they're always in the way.
It is. But it was funny. Anyway, sorry. Just didn't derail everything.
Totally derailed it. Yeah, I have nothing. I got nothing.
Got nothing.
No. Got a little rodeo update.
Yeah, how are athletes been crushing it, dude? Like,
Yeah,
across the
big time,
board,
dude.
everybody's athletes, and it's cool. I was gonna make a post about, like, I'm sure people get tired of seeing me reshare everybody's shit. That's just rodeo ride after rodeo ride, right? But to me, it's so much bigger than that. When I look at it, I like showing that, and I'm proud of showing that, and everybody's success across the board, because it's not a coincidence, man. Like, this is, each one of these individuals is working really hard and working, has a coach that's strategically planning their workouts, their recovery, in, complementing their rodeo schedule, and it's working, and they're winning. And I think I saw whoever it was, I think it was either one of you two, I think, was like, won yet another college rodeo, and the dude's just been winning every region college rodeo there is in his event.
Yep.
It's not, it's not a coincidence, and it's, I hope everyone is starting to realize, like, the people that are working hard, you don't have to be, like, everyone thinks you have to be a Casey, either you're just born being a Casey Field, or a whatever, a Jordan Joe Fabrizio. Like, these people work hard for it, and you didn't see any of that work. You just saw the success at the end, and so you have a false reality in your head that of what is making these professional athletes rise to the level that they're at. And it's not that they're just born with it. Yes, they're born with the work ethic, all those things, the ability to keep going and try hard, but they're working hard outside. They're putting in the time, in the practice, in the skill, in the gym, in the recovery, all of the things. And when all those things come together, that's when you see huge increases in your success, your abilities to perform. Everything is going to get better. And then on the flip side of that, the people that see that success and continue to do the same things, the same fundamental things that got them there, they continue to see the success. And that's the hardest part, because you think that you've reached this level and now you have to do something different. I need to be doing this differently. I need to be trying to perfect this part. And in all reality, if you just kept doing the things that you were doing and got better at that, perfecting those, keeping it simple, you're going to see your career go way past where you ever thought it could in a way shorter amount of time. And that's what our whole goal is with this, is to teach guys all the things we didn't know, and girls, and be like, hey, if you use this and trust it, and it's going to make you feel weird at first, it's hard to trust it at first, but all those people that do are seeing huge success. And Chase Dougherty is one of my guys that is a huge example of that. PBR guy I've rehabbed him back from 2 injuries last year, and it was tough. And there were injuries back to back, so he'd get healthy, come back, and something would happen, right? And it's hard on a guy when you stay out that long, work that hard to rehabilitate, and then have it happen again. And that's just the sport. So a lot of times guys break and they don't come back from that, or they buckle down and say, okay, what can I do to make myself better? And that's what Chase has done. Every time Chase is really consistent and is focused on what he's doing and hitting every single part of the workouts every day, not slacking, he's winning. And it's every time. So he won an event or got second or something a few weeks ago. He had a couple weeks where he's really busy, but he just didn't get a lot of training in. And so I was constantly texting him, hey man, get back to work. Last week I called them and I'm like, hey, you need to do, like, this is no option. You need to get to work. And that was our stipulation when we signed up. He's like, I need you to be that guy for me. I need you to call me out and call me and say, hey, get to work, dude. Like, this isn't going to happen by itself. And lo and behold, goes to Tacoma and wins the whole thing. And I texted him and I said, not a coincidence is all I said. And he was like, dude, you're right. Like, I can't thank you enough. Like, you're exactly right. When I'm working and I'm focused and dialed in, I'm performing. And I don't think about anything. When I don't do anything all week I didn't think about it. But the second I get to the rodeo, I'm like, ooh, I didn't do this A, B, and C this week. Like, this is not going to go well, right? It's so much more than just the physical aspect. It is the mentality that comes with it, the confidence that comes with, I've been putting that work in, ain't nobody going to beat me. And there's nothing one of these animals is going to do that's going to buck me off, because I'm going to stick to the fundamentals. And I'm way strong enough to do that. Right.
Yeah. I've had several guys here just recently, like a good handful of them, that were able to come back from injury a lot sooner than what was projected. And like when they do that, they're like, holy crap! Like I thought I was gonna be out 6 months. I was out, 4. Like that gains them a whole 2 months back of competition time that they wouldn't have had otherwise. And I'm just super proud of all those guys that have been powering through that. And I mean, we're not coming back too soon. It's on schedule, like it's on time. They're healthy enough, they're strong enough, but since they've been putting in the work, they're much stronger and much more. They're more able than they would have been if they would have just sat on the couch and maybe just cross their fingers and hope they're better in 6 months, because they're actually putting in the work.
It's super important. It's like, I mean, well, I just had this conversation the other day because there's different types of like putting in the work, right? So, I mean, for years and years, we just had a lot of like old ranch hands, like we're like ranch tough. We're in the saddle, we're digging post holes, we're doing that kind of stuff. And I had this conversation yesterday with a client, how they're like, man, I didn't get my workout on whatever day, we dug post holes all day. And I think that's, it's really good for, my bareback riding to like dig post. And I'm like, sure, absolutely. I'm not going to say that, digging post holes is definitely going to be more like muscle endurance type stuff, which is great. And I love the mental fact of you like, man, slaving away all day, man, that's that's tough. It makes you want to ride bucking horses. The difference is that there's just not a lot of muscle endurance involved in 20 seconds of all out effort of riding a bucking horse. And so can you do it? Absolutely. And does it maybe help your mental game? Maybe. I don't know. It definitely wouldn't help my mental game, but maybe it does for you. I'm just going to say that it's not optimal, is all I'm saying, as far as like building strength and what we need to successfully ride bucking horses. Can you do it? For sure. Does it help? It definitely possibly could. Probably not exactly the direction that we would want to go. And it's certainly not the reason that you hired me.
Yeah, that's spot on. And the thing with building, okay, so for instance, a guy's got to make some money on the side, right? He's got to go do day work. Cool. You're building fence all day. Yeah, that is probably, it's better than sitting at a desk all day. That's for damn sure.
Yep.
My deal with it is you're not eating anything. You are pounding post all day and drinking water and honestly probably kicking back some beers. And again, nothing wrong with that. It's just not going to benefit your rodeo career and your performance in the arena. And you have to realize that. So if you're out there pounding post all day, building fence, like bring a cooler with food in it, guys. Bring some fuel, because what needs to happen when you get done is you do need to go to the gym, but you need to work on things that are going to complement what you just did. You just ran your body ragged all day. You, again, highly big endurance day. You were consistently working at a steady pace all day long. So if you're not refueling, you're super tired and you get off. You damn sure don't feel like working out, and that's understandable. So you need to fuel yourself. You need to hydrate yourself. And when you go to the gym, probably don't go attack those muscles that you're just using all damn day. Like go.
Yeah, you're not going for like max lifts on that day.
Yeah.
or working on power. Like you need to work on some maintenance there. Yep.
Yeah, isometric holds, like all the little things that you don't want to do or you think are not sexy enough to do, that's what you should be doing after that. And it's only gonna make your day of work the next day a lot easier, and you're gonna feel pretty damn good probably. And then all the way leading up to that weekend, guys, if you're having to work hard like that all week and you're trying to be a professional athlete, it won't add up across the days. When you get to Saturday and Sunday, if you are working hard all week and not paying attention to your recovery, not eating enough, the gym is not benefiting you, then get to the arena and you're done. You're already done.
Yep.
You're tired. You're depleted. You have.
And that's the best thing about what we do.
It's not easy.
Yeah, because that's the very stigma that we're trying to break down. Like you can't beat your body down all week and then beat your body down on the weekend and expect good things to happen.
Yeah, ask me how I know.
Yeah, exactly.
I 100% agree. But that's the best part about what we do is that everything's individual at that level for elite athletes and these guys that are doing personal training with us, one-on-one individualized coaching, is that all a client would have to do in that situation is shoot me a text at 4:30, 5 p.m. The sooner the better. But they can shoot me a text and say, hey man, work turned out a little bit different than I thought it was going to today. We were digging post holes all day. I still want to go to the gym and get a little something in. Can you fix my workout. Because up to that, maybe I did have some max lifts in there. Maybe I did have some, some power, some heavier stuff. Man, it takes me 20 minutes. I can sub that stuff out for some, and we can still make progress just by communicating with your coach, with whoever you're working with. Hey, this is what I need to go. Or if you're not working with the coach, man, just alter the game plan. You're not going to go backwards. You're probably only going to go forwards by taking care of the little stuff that you want to that we so often ignore and skip. That's what I love about what we do is the customization.
Absolutely, man. And for people, it's hard sometimes to make that call to make the investment in yourself. But if you're wanting to get to that level of being a professional athlete, or if you're someone that has just been stuck in a hole for a long time and it, doesn't know where else to go, hiring a coach is by far the best thing you can do. And again, doing research and hiring a coach that is getting the results that you are wanting with clients that he's already or she is already working with is going to be, you've got to do that. You've got to do that little bit of research. But, we have tons of opportunity with us and our coaches. You can go to championlivingfitness.com, check or click the Become an Athlete box, and you just fill out the form. It's a free consult. You get to literally ask all the questions you have, get to interact with a coach. The coach is going to make sure that you're a good fit for them and what they can do, because that's why we have 8 coaches inside of our program, inside of our, our company, because everyone's really, really good at a few different things. And if we can all work together at bettering everyone, it's just going to make everything that much better, right? So we're, assessing everything that you are going to bring to the table as a client, and then we're, figuring out what is going to be the best option for you. And then if you are, financially not able to do that, we have our app that has some free information on it. It's got body weight workout, dumbbell workout, mobility exercises, all free on there. And then we have some paid programs. They're like $19 a month. But if you're a professional athlete or someone that's been stuck in that hole, like making that investment, you talk about investing in a coach, you're probably like $4,000 for the year to do that or something around there. As a professional athlete, if you're not winning $4,000 more after doing this, we got a problem. That investment's not paying off. And so something needs to be said. But that's, if we look at it like that, like, dude, it's nuts. And it's, when I've explained it to a lot of my athletes like that, guys have been on the fence and they actually do decide to invest in themselves, what comes back to them, 2-fold, 3-fold, 4-fold.
It's usually
quickly.
Tens of thousands of dollars more that they're winning.
It's like, a lot.
It's huge.
Yeah. So
it's 1/6 of a round at the NFR. It's 1/6. 1/6 of a round. It's a little less than 1/6 of a round at the NFR. So, and that's the last thing. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but like, rodeo is changing, and I promise you, preparation for rodeo will not look the same in 5 years. It is evolving more rapidly now than absolutely ever. There are more people in the space that are studying the sport, that are writing research articles, that are taking this so seriously and how we can prepare rodeo athletes better. And I promise you that the sport is drastically changing. It, like, now is the time, because if you do not, like, I don't want to peer pressure people, but if you don't, you're getting left behind. I promise. I promise, because all these other guys, the guys that are going to the finals and winning, they're going to be doing cutting edge training, preparing their body for what's ahead. And I mean, it's coming down the pipeline really, really, really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. It is. The game is evolutionizing, and we're revolutionizing. I don't know.
Evolutionizing. I love it. I think it goes on a t-shirt. I think we do it.
Evolutionizing the sport.
Evolutionizing the sport. I love it. I'm down. Let's do it.
Talking about evolving.
Talking about evolving.
Dinosaurs.
Can old people go to the gym?
I'm excited about this, though, because this is something we get a lot. Like, am I too old to work out? And I think this is an awesome question. And I think that we have a bunch of good information that we're about to get into for folks that maybe think that, oh, I'm way over the hill. Like, I'm not going to be able to work out. I've seen your Instagram videos. I can't be doing that back squat and shit. You know what I mean? So let's get into it. I mean, in all reality, there are very, very few populations that are not going to benefit from lifting weights. Older adults, older populations are going to benefit just as much. And I would honestly argue maybe a little bit more than other age groups, just because of what can be gained outside of just the aesthetic variables that come with exercise, right? Trying to look good. What I think a lot of people don't realize is that most diseases, um, they can be prevented a lot of times, or could have been prevented through just a lifestyle change. Resistance training for all ages is a lifestyle behavior that not only takes away, chronic disease, but extends longevity in somebody's lifespan. So let's get into kind of what are your guys' thoughts on age and what happens to our muscles and things like that as we get older, and ways to stop
No,
that.
man, I think you nailed it. Like older populations might even benefit more just because of what they can gain back from from resistance training or lifting weights. Like because naturally over time, like our muscles they atrophy. The old saying, "You don't use it, you lose it." It's absolutely true, and that means we're going to lose strength. We're going to lose muscle mass as we age. But like that's not. We don't have to, if that makes sense. Probably, when you're in your advanced age, 60, 70, 80 years old, you're not going to be super concerned about the aesthetics of having muscle, but like the things that you are going to be concerned about is, losing motor control, having difficulty walking, some of the diseases that we do see at that time, like osteoporosis. You're going to be much more likely to fall and break a hip. Most hip fractures are in older adults. But by lifting weights and engaging in resistance training, we're going to be able to combat those things because we are going to build muscle. We're going to be more stable. So we're going to be much more mobile. Our bone density is going to be much greater. So you have a very reduced risk of falling and breaking a hip. One, because you can walk, you're better on your feet, you just have better balance and you're stronger. And two, your bones are far more dense than they would have been if you had ignored resistance training at that age. So there's like a plethora of other things that in these other chronic conditions like that we can like I said to just repeat what I said, combat. But those are like the two big ones that come to mind.
Dude, I love that, and I also think about the mental aspect of training. Like as we get older, there's so many like neurological things that come from. I mean, just you think about like we just went to Florida, so we were in Ocala, which is the Villages, is the retirement capital of the United States. I mean, it is insane down there. You think about so many people, they lose their independence once you get to a certain age, and a lot of it, yes, it has physical capabilities. It's definitely because maybe they're not able to physically, but so much of that is mental as well. We start to slip a little bit neurologically, and so I know for me, like mental clarity comes in the gym. That's where I come up with so many different ideas, so many different things. Like when I'm able to go and think and work out, and I feel so much better even mentally when I get done working out. I love to work out. I know we've talked about this before. We all love to work out before a podcast because we just feel a little bit more on our game when it comes to podcasting after a workout. And I mean, the same thing goes for for older people. Man, I think that the mental clarity that comes from some form of resistance training as you get older is going to be awesome. Physical activity just aids
Dude,
in keeping the mind sharp.
not even the mental clarity. I mean, I guess it is, but there's studies that have found that like just 6 months of resistance training protects the areas of the brain that are like susceptible to Alzheimer's and dementia. Like you
Boom.
can literally fight off
Mm-hmm.
Alzheimer's and dementia by
Mm.
lifting weights.
Yep. So cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's so neat. And my grandpa's a really good example of that. Dude's like 91 years old, exercises daily, still downhill skis 50, 60 days a year, um, and is sharper than most 60 to 70-year-olds that you see in today's world. And it's literally because he's just a very active guy, has always stayed active. He's a doctor, so he realized at a young age that when you become sedentary, that's when things
Mm.
start to go poorly. Everything, your body, your brain starts to deteriorate, atrophy, and it's just the older you get, the harder it is to get out of those holes, if you will. But they're not impossible to get out of. So no matter how old you are, I think that you definitely can benefit from exercise, from resistance training mentally, physically, but there are definitely some things to consider as you get older and you're lifting weights. Obviously, we're not going to sit you in there and throw you in the football locker room or the weight room and say, go do some cleans, resistance training as a novice, or, maybe someone that hasn't picked up a weight for a long time, there's a really good chance that you're not going to start as heavy as someone, in their 20s, their 30s. A 10-pound dumbbell row for a young, let's say, lady would be the equivalent to like a 3-pound dumbbell row for an older female in her 70s. As we just mentioned before, your muscle is going to steadily atrophy. So you're already, as you're getting older, you're just going in with less bone density, less muscle. And so you need to be compensating for that or addressing that. And when you're starting out at lighter weighting, you need to start out lighter resistances. It's going to be much safer and smarter for you. What about range of motion limitations?
Okay, that's
Why
I guess
you
that's
go,
me.
sir?
I was totally like it was Paul's turn. We're like in this like theme of like Doug, Paul, me, Doug, Paul, me. So I'm like
turns.
I'm like
watching,
okay,
I was
like
watching
take it,
Logan.
Paul. I'm like I shoved the mic away from my face. I'm like get after it, big dog. But range of motion is something that extremely affects can extremely affect the older population. I mean, it affects like even young guys. I mean, I've had range of rodeo athletes from injuries and stuff like that. I mean, that range of motion from old injuries, like I've got ankle stuff that it can affect my squat. I mean, it can happen in anybody, but there's certain exercises that can be harder for people with those range of motion deficiencies. They're maybe not able to get into a deep squat position, which is something that I've struggled with, or they're unable to cue like a popular scat positioning, retraction. So, I mean, when we're considering the different range of motion restrictions, flexibility, stretching, those things should be and mobility exercises should be really emphasized. At the end of every like a good proper warm up and proper cool down are going to be absolutely essentials, like non-negotiable, especially for seniors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then cardiac health is like one of the other things that I really think about because in our population in the U.S., I think it's some 70% of people are considered overweight, and 30% are clinically obese. And so you drag that age out, and we're looking at 80% of individuals that are over 65 are going to have some type of chronic condition, most likely associated with cardiac health. Um, these by even engaging in resistance training, once you're at that point, we can a lot of times ease the burden of some of these chronic conditions, even eliminate them in some cases. But a note to the younger folks that you're like, well, I'm not 65 and older, I don't have to pay attention to what's going on here. If you start now, you can totally avoid these things, completely avoid them. There was I don't know if you've seen the pictures, guys, of the or the muscle density scans of I think it was like a 25-year-old athlete, a 65-year-old sedentary person, and then a 65-year-old triathlete. The 65-year-old triathlete and the 25-year-old athlete, the density scans looked exactly the same. There was no difference. But obviously the 65-year-old sedentary person was very, very different.
Mm-hmm. There's a guy at my gym.
So cool,
he just ran the Boston Marathon, and he's got to be like, I'm not saying he's got to be pushing 60. And dude, he trains so hard. I love going in there and watching him, like, cause he's like pretty. He's obviously very lean, but he's like pretty muscular. Like I don't know, he's probably 5'10", 5'11". I'm gonna say he weighs 165 or 170. Like he's like, and I love watching him train because he does obviously a ton of aerobic exercise, whether it's on the rower, on the treadmill, on the stairmaster, like or whatever. But he's also in there lifting heavy weights, and that's something that you don't see a lot from people that primarily focus on aerobic endurance type activities. Anyway, I mean, like he's got to be pushing 60, and at least early 50s, mid 50s, and he's in great shape. And I can only think about him when you say that study brings up like, man, I feel like, man, he's going to age well because of the work that he's put in when he was younger and being in good shape.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that he sounds like a very experienced athlete, obviously doing something
100%.
like that at that age.
Yes.
And then obviously his training is, you're seeing that he is not just your average guy who's running a marathon or just picked it up as a hobby, right?
I'd say he's
knows
been
what
doing it for
doing,
years. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, which is cool. So let's talk about really quickly, like if you are someone older, let's say, I hate saying older because we're creeping up on that if we're talking about numbers here. But if you're 55 or older, ready to train, some guidelines that can be considered before starting your resistance training program and training frequency. Logan talks about his dude at the gym, very, very advanced athlete, been doing this for a long, long time. He's probably trains 5 or 6 times a week. That's not where you need to be. Less is going to be more at this point because it has been a long time since you worked out, or you've never worked out before. Anything you do is going to create a pretty large stimulus, and you're probably going to be fairly sore those first couple of weeks. So starting 2 to 3 times per week on your frequency, and in conjunction with some cardiovascular training, this can be walking. Don't have to run, guys. Girls, like, walking is great. Walking with intent is literally my favorite way of cardioing.
Mm-hmm.
I love walking with intent. I love, if I want to make it tougher, I add some weight, carry a backpack. Promise you, it's way harder than it sounds. I call it bow hiking, but I was attempting to kill a turkey, and I just walked for 6 miles with my pack and my bow, and I was like, that was really hard. Like, that was very difficult, but I got a ton out of it. And you don't have to be running and doing crazy stuff. Walking is awesome. Getting some sunshine at the same time, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. It's awesome. What about duration? Like, we started talking about duration. That guy's probably in there an hour or more a day, which is, again, an advanced athlete. What would you say?
Yeah.
All right, Logan, like, for a beginning athlete, what do you say time frame? And I know you've been working on some new workouts that have been shorter, so this is perfect.
Man, I think like 30 minutes, really. I mean, you can do anything you need to do. I mean, really, the main thing is getting in there. I mean, if you go, chances are you'll stay for 20, 30 minutes, but 30 minutes is plenty to accomplish some sort of full body basic, whether you're walking or whether you're doing some light resistance training. 30 minutes is plenty of time to be able to get that in, and 30 minutes is super easy to commit to. With 24 hours a day, like 30 minutes, it definitely gives you, it's like, okay, it's going to take me I'm going to take 20 to 30 minutes, and I'm going to go into the gym, or I'm going to maybe not go to the gym. I'm just going to do it at my house, and some body weight stuff or walking or whatever. You can make 30 minutes somewhere in your day to be able to commit to, getting started 2 to 3 times a week.
Yeah, and you're not going like balls to the wall during that time either. It's going to be low to moderate intensity, especially if you're just starting out. This 2 to 3 times a week, and I would even start on the low end of that. So you just start 2 times a week, and then maybe you take part in that cardiovascular training on your off days. But we're just going low intensity here. We're not looking to reach max heart rate. If you are combating some type of chronic condition right now, then that's even more important to stay in the low to moderate intensity. You don't want to be doing anything that's going to negatively impact your days and weeks that follow. Just because we told you that you need to start resistance training, it needs to, like with our rodeo athletes, this needs to complement your lifestyle. And I think, like you said, Logan, just about anybody can find 30 minutes to go, do some walking, do some light resistance training, and be able to be better for it.
I think on the other side of that too, if you can't find 30 minutes and you want these changes to happen and you don't do the work, like, you've got no one to blame but yourself on that. And that's one of the cool things about fitness and this whole process is, if you take the time and put the effort in, you're going to see results happen. If you don't, you got no one to blame but yourself. So you can't be upset about the side effects of aging that you're feeling from not doing the things necessary to reverse those or counteract those. Last thing, or just to wrap this all up, well, let's go through that one more time. The training frequency, again, 2 to 3 times a week, and like duration, 30 minutes is a great start, guys. Just get after it in some capacity. The intensity needs to be low to moderate, like 60 to 75% of your max heart rate. If you're tracking heart rate, that would be a great area to be in. But bottom line, you are never too old to lift weights. It's really the inactivity and being sedentary that we want to avoid and should be really wary of. Aging is going to happen, guys. You have to, be okay with that and kind of roll with it. And the way we do that is staying active, doing resistance training, and you're going to have a much longer, stronger, healthier life. Guys, until next time, we'll catch you later.